Okay, we will get started here. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our Curious by Nature tonight, and happy Earth Day. My name is Lydia. I'm an AmeriCorps member serving on the education team for Borough Land Trust. Tonight, we're talking about sustainability as social justice with our guests Lucy and Selena, who run a fantastic local nonprofit, Houses into Homes. Just a reminder to our audience that this event is being recorded and will be made available on our social media pages sometime next week, probably. And I'd like to ask everyone to please keep their mics muted and their videos off. I will be monitoring the chat, so please send in any questions through the chat, and then we'll go through some of those at the end. I'll try and leave 5-10 minutes for questions, depending on how many we have. Okay. So first, in 2017, there was an audit of the waste stream in Iowa, and it showed that 40% of items that end up in a landfill are reusable and recyclable items. So that number is pretty staggering to me, maybe staggering to some of our audience members as well. So can you tell us how Houses into Homes started and ended up being an organization that is helping people and the environment?
Absolutely. So the work that we do at Houses into Homes is we collect gently used mattresses, furniture, and household items from the community, bring them to our warehouse, clean them, inspect them, and then turn around and deliver them to families and individuals in need in Johnson County, who are referred to us through 30 local referring agencies. We started doing the work just over 3 years ago. We both were doing some volunteering in the community that made us aware that we had students in our community who did not have beds in their homes. I was in the school district volunteering, as was Lucy. I was also making birthday cakes for families in need and walking into a lot of empty homes. And then we were hearing from students who had barriers and who were struggling behaviorally, sometimes with their schoolwork. Those were the students we were primarily working with. And their chief complaint was, I'm tired or I'm sore. And over time, they let us know that they were either bed sharing with siblings or cycling through one bed that the family had, or didn't have beds at all at home, and everyone was sleeping on the floor. So we thought, is this an issue that's widespread in our community? What can we do to help if it is? So we, from there, reached out to Joan Vandenberg. She is with the school district, and she's the homeless student liaison. So she's working with families who are exiting homelessness, experiencing homelessness, or have found new homes and are needing things. She then she really set up our first meetings with people in the community who are sort of in the know here. So we met with City of Iowa City representatives, some representatives from the shelters, the landfill, also some individuals in the community who are doing some work on their own to try to fulfill this need. And from those meetings, our takeaway was that there is really an incredible need in our community that wasn't being met. That shelters and caseworkers and Rockstar community members were doing what they could to bring beds and furniture to people who had need for them. But there was no standalone agency that existed entirely to fulfill this need. And that it was really, really needed because every other agency and individual was doing it in addition to the work that they were supposed to be doing. So it was taxing on them and meant that there are lots of holes in service in our community. And so we decided to start collecting beds. Habitat Restore actually collected those beds for us for the first several months, and we delivered them to students completely, entirely referred to us to the school district. As we started doing those deliveries, immediately we were walking into homes that didn't have beds, but were also nearly entirely bare otherwise. Sometimes that's a hard image to conjure. So for example, we have walked into homes where the living room has the one piece of furniture that the family has, which is maybe a queen mattress, and a small Rubbermaid tote that has a tiny TV on it, and that's it. We've walked into that living room and the entire family is sitting on the queen mattress, and that's the only place that they have to rest at the end of the day, whether it's the work day or the school day. Sometimes there are arrow beds that deflate slowly through the night. A bedroom often has sleeping bags and a couple of bags, like black garbage bags filled with clothes. Usually they've taken what you can carry and fit into a vehicle. So it really clearly became evident that if the kids in the house don't have any beds, that otherwise it's pretty bare. So I think it was within 6 months that we started trying to provide everything that a household needed more broadly, but still on a pretty small scale. We were renting a storage unit ourselves, renting trucks, and just collecting stuff from our friends. But we felt very, very confidently that in a college town, that if we became an actual nonprofit and reached out more broadly to the community, that we would find that there was a lot of stuff going to the landfill that could be diverted to us as long as we were willing to pick it up. Also, we had the knowledge that Iowa does not allow used mattresses to be resold because of bed bugs. So folks were buying mattresses, using them for a couple of weeks, deciding that it wasn't a good fit, especially with the mattresses that can be shipped to your home. They offer full refunds, and it's really easy for those just to be trashed. So even if you had a practically new, beautiful mattress and you don't like it, you can't resell it legally in Iowa. So mattresses and box springs especially were a really, really big problem for the landfill.
And yeah, there's just a surprising amount of waste that is going into landfills. I remember when I was volunteering for you guys, there's just so much great stuff that you guys are providing, and it's not run down things. It's not, crap. It's actually really good stuff. And walking through some of it, I was like, oh, wow, I wish I could have that. Like, that's actually a really cool dresser. So I'm so happy to see you guys as an organization providing this service to people in need. And your warehouse is huge. Like, you have so much stuff, which is amazing. And people often think, well, we have Goodwill, we have Salvation Army, what's up with that? Like, why is there a need for houses into homes? Like, what are some of the barriers that people are facing getting furniture?
So we actually built our organization entirely based on barriers that we had heard through social service agencies, and Iowa City used to have the furniture project, and they discussed with us, some of the agencies who had the furniture project on top of the work that they do, the barriers that folks had even when they were giving pieces away for free. So transportation is huge. Most people who are starting over in a new environment don't have a personal network. So finding someone who has a truck to lend you to move furniture, or the funds to rent a truck when you're operating on a really low income and starting fresh in a community where housing is pretty high priced, it's not very affordable, is one major barrier. Secondhand furniture is also really expensive. We've started kind of going out and scouting prices to see what folks would have to pay to buy, to piecemeal their homes together, because they would not be able to afford everything they need, especially if they have a family with children. And it's really, really kind of shocking how expensive those pieces are. A chair with an ottoman is $200 at Goodwill.
And even the, not being able to buy used beds, you have to buy new. So even at a consignment store, a mattress is $200. You have 4 people in your family, that's $800 plus box springs plus frames.
Additionally, Rent-A-Center and Aaron's and a new mattress place here locally, they offer new furniture at a weekly affordable price. So it feels like you can pay $100 a week for a couch, but that rent to own process is 2 years long. So by the time you're done paying for it, if you make it through that and they don't have to come take it back, you've paid several $1,000s for a very basic piece of furniture. So the cost is incredible, even with used items, transportation. And then again, just not having a network, it's hard to move furniture. Having the truck to get it there, those things are all barriers, and we've removed all of those in what we do. We deliver, we provide the arms. There's no cost to any agency to refer to us, or ever any cost to someone in need who's receiving our service. And I think that's really it. Really it comes down to cost, transportation, and then having the help to get it done.
Yeah, I can only imagine even college students sometimes struggle to find furniture, affordable furniture at Goodwill. When you don't have that much disposable income, it's really stressful. And so families, individuals that come to you guys, are they kind of telling you what they need, or giving requests for things that they need? Is there basic things that kind of every individual you try to provide for every individual?
Sure.
Yes. So we have a referral process. We have, like Selena said, 30 entities who make referrals, and they give us sort of the basic information, like how many beds and, living room furniture. And then from there, sorry, Selena's having some allergies. Try not to cough. So from there, we contact the recipients and we confirm their, contact or their address and things. But then we also go through a pretty thorough list of what they need. Sometimes people don't want to tell the person they're working with exactly what they need. Sometimes they don't maybe realize exactly what they need. So we just go through and, ask how many beds and for what age children. And then as part of your question, like if they have nothing in the living room, we have sort of the basics that we will give. But if they ask for like a rug, we try to give them a rug. And then there are other things like if they say they don't have things in the kitchen, we don't need to ask exactly what, because you can always use another set of silverware. So you don't have to do dishes so often. So there are some things that we just kind of have as sets, but then we also really try to find out what they need. A family with 3 teenagers needs a little bit more seating than a single person living in a room in a group home. So did I get that?
Yeah, I think you answered it. Thank you. And I wanted to touch on kind of the impact that this work is having on people's lives. We don't necessarily think of basic necessities that we have in our house as being something of a privilege to have and a luxury, but for people coming out of crisis situations, it really is. And so what are some of the really positive impacts that just providing furniture has in a person's life?
So self-reported from households that we've delivered to, beyond simply just being able to rest in a comfortable bed, which is huge when you're trying to be a successful student or trying to go to work and do well. Having a place to look forward to when you're done with your work day, you're done with your school day, coming home to sofas and dining room tables where your family can sit and eat together. A lot of times when we deliver to an empty home, when we arrive, I mentioned earlier the queen size bed that the family was gathered on. Oftentimes the home's completely empty. So the kids are just sitting or laying on the floor and mom or dad is kind of pacing around. It's for those folks to be able to come home and to be able to rest and to be able to connect to each other and not feel stressed out that they're in an empty space. Self-reported has made an incredible impact on them. They've felt their health has improved. And this is, again, self-reported by research students that we have make follow-up calls. 73% have said they had better sleep quality. 80% saw improvement in their child's stress level, and 61% said they had less stress at home. But beyond that, we've also heard anecdotes from parents where their children were not comfortable and they weren't comfortable inviting friends over. So they're new to a community, their child maybe is new to this classroom and trying to establish a social network, but your home is empty. So you're not comfortable bringing people home. And we've had so many parents tell us how proud their kids are of their bedrooms and that they can bring friends home and that they can make those connections. And the same goes for them, that they're proud of their homes and they can connect to people in the community and not feel like they're the other or outside because they don't have things in their home that folks would expect. We've also heard from teachers and student family advocates in our district that our work in putting beds in bedrooms means that they have less students in the office sleeping and more students in the classroom learning. We also know that when everyone in our community feels more comfortable at home and can rest and can enjoy their home space, that they feel better, generally speaking. And it's better for our entire community when everyone feels better. If we're all doing better, we're all doing better. And that's really kind of our focus, is that every member of our community is important. And we want them to feel the comforts of home in spite of any circumstances that they've had to endure to end up starting fresh.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely feel like the value of having a space that is your own and a comfortable space is so underestimated. It really is something that just can make a huge difference in someone's life. You know, other individuals, when you're starting out in a new apartment or a new home, something that everyone looks forward to is making that their own space and getting to decorate it and coming home to a safe place. So that is amazing. Can you guys tell us a little bit about how COVID and the pandemic in general has affected your work, if it has affected, and some changes that you guys have had to make?
Absolutely.
Do you want me to talk a little
Sure.
bit for
Yeah,
your
go
cough?
right. Yeah, that's my.
So yeah, it had a it's had a big impact, but we've also been able to keep doing our work. So before COVID, we had large groups of volunteers come about twice a month to do deliveries. So we could have 25 to 35 volunteers deliver to 10 to 15 households in 4 to 6 hours. So those were big days, but it's fun, and we were able to just get a lot done. We had to move that to smaller groups of volunteers delivering more frequently. Then also one of the important parts of what we do is a pre-delivery visit. So before COVID, the two of us would go meet with the head of household and see their space, which is very helpful when choosing a couch. So we could see the stairways, the angles of the doorways, how much space they had, how many bedrooms, and then also get to know them a little bit and find out about their family or whatever information they wanted to share. So we had to stop that and sort of do that over text, which is much more difficult. Now we're fully vaccinated, so we're hoping we can go back into homes. We also, there was a lot we didn't know at the beginning of the pandemic, and so we were quarantining every donation for 2 weeks. And we had a lot of space at the beginning. We had to condense down, and so we have a storage container out in the parking lot that we put things in. We started with 2 weeks and we went down to 1 week quarantine. And so there was put donations in, 1 week later, bring them out. And we finally gotten to the point where we're not quarantining because there aren't any outbreaks associated with surfaces. So those are the major changes.
The biggest impact really has been not being able to utilize large volunteer groups. As you know from your volunteer day, lifting and moving and hefting furniture around a warehouse into a truck, into a home is so physically demanding. So using much smaller delivery groups or just ourselves to do that work has been really exhausting, but we've done it. We've made it through. Most of our large donations, which are sofas, dining tables, chairs, mattresses, I would say 90% of our large donations come through pickup requests. So we take our box truck out that we were able to purchase almost a year ago, and we pick up donations in the community. So before this, we were able to use lots of volunteers, just like delivery days, and it wasn't that bad. We had to reduce down to just a couple of us going to do the pickups, and it's either Lucy and I or this really wonderful volunteer that we have. We completed over 350 pickups last year with just 2 pretty small women. And that's something that we're pretty proud of, because we show up at pickups all of the time and are greeted with raised eyebrows and just you two and things along that line. And we've been able to bring every donation back to our warehouse, which really puts us in a good position for when we can use volunteers again to kind of alleviate some of that really exhausting, physically demanding labor.
Real quick, I wanted to ask, so people people cannot just drop things off at houses into homes. They have to request a pickup where you guys go to pick up this stuff, correct?
So they can drop off, but most of our large donations, folks want picked up, again, because of the truck thing. Is most people don't have a truck, or they're not connected to someone with a truck. So for us to be able to go pick up a large donation of sofas, ottomans, dining tables, and chairs, it really requires that big truck. We do have some people who will make several trips in their own pickup truck to bring us large donations, which is fantastic. But most of our smaller donations come through with drop-offs, like dishes, other housewares, bedding. We do have scheduled drop-off hours, though. We aren't here all the time because so much of our work is outreach. So we do try to really push to not just drop by, because we aren't always here. As we've had more speaking engagements lately, we've had a lot of people kind of wandering by, and one of us happens to be here, thankfully, but that's not always the case. And our drop-off hours are always listed on our website and our newsletter.
And right now that's 3 times, twice a week during the week, and then 2 Saturdays also. So there are a lot of opportunities to drop off.
Awesome. And are you guys taking volunteers? I'm guessing you guys, I know that you guys really need help during the weekdays. So people can go on your website and kind of fill in some volunteer slots.
Yes, we have a contact us form. We don't have times set up for volunteering. Usually once we hear from someone who's a new volunteer, we invite them to come meet us in our warehouse and walk around, give them a tour, and kind of let them see the various jobs that we have here. And they're usually able to tell us where they're interested or how they can be helpful. And sometimes bring an entirely new skill set that we didn't even know that we needed into the warehouse, like rewiring vacuums, which happened last week. So that it starts with an initial visit and an invite to come meet us and see the work that we do, and then we go from there.
And we do need weekday volunteers for sure. We have lots to do in the warehouse. We have pickups all week long, but we also have delivery days where we sometimes, some weekends we have a bunch of people. Some weekends we have two plus us. So there are a lot of times and ways that people can volunteer.
Awesome. We'll make sure to promote that at the end as well. So it sounds like you guys are very busy, and from what I've seen when I was in your guys' warehouse, you guys have so much work, and it feels like you're constantly on the move with the service. So have you seen the need in the community grow over time?
So we personally have seen the need grow over time. We started with one referring agency, and now we have 30. One of the more surprising aspects of this work is that when we started doing it, we thought that the only circumstances and the most critical circumstances that would lead to someone needing beds and furniture were exiting a shelter for homelessness. And as our network of referring agencies have grown, we found that that's so far from the case. We have people who have exited lengthy hospital stays, mental illness issues. We've had nurses call us from the emergency room because someone was assaulted in their home and doesn't want to return to that same furniture. So much beyond that. So we've definitely grown the scope of our services. We currently are delivering at about the same pace that we did last year. However, there's an eviction moratorium in place because of the pandemic, which we're very, very grateful for. We hope that the funding continues so that we don't see a huge amount of evictions in our community, because it's just horrible for everyone. But in spite of not having evictions for non-payment of rent, we've maintained that level of delivery because our name has been passed around and more agencies have reached out to refer to us for their clients who are in need. And we know that recently about 15% of Iowans were behind on rent. So if that moratorium is lifted, we do expect to see a big increase in referrals from that. But Johnson County and Iowa City area especially has been really good at providing assistance to keep that from occurring. And our hope is that that continues.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so too. Yeah, the pandemic has been very hard for everyone, and I can only imagine with losing income and just coming out of a crisis situation into basically another really bad situation is really stressful. Can you tell us a little bit about some of, the groups that you work with? Is it mostly families? Is it youth, individuals, or seniors?
Is this in regard to who we serve, or?
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Okay. Really, it varies. At first, it was mostly families because the referring agencies we were working with worked with families for the most part. So the Iowa City School District, Johnson County Social Services, DVIP, that was kind of our foundation for who we were serving. And as that has grown, we have started working with agencies who serve seniors. Jeff Kelback with the Johnson County Social Services is the aging services social worker. And so he sends us referrals for need for seniors. We work with agencies who send us folks who are disabled. 2/3 of our recipients are still children. So it's mostly families, and we still receive most of our referrals through the school district. But broadening our referring agencies has absolutely made it so that we serve all over the scope and all ages, all abilities, families and individuals. This past 6 weeks, most of the households who have been referred to us are single person households, which is very unusual. Usually it's families. So there's some ebb and flow to it. We always see a really big uptick in referrals with the beginning of the school year. Students are back in the classroom. They and their parents are communicating with their teachers and their student family advocates about their needs. So fall is really busy for us for delivering to families, especially.
As far as the next couple of years for houses into homes, what do you guys hope that the organization will be in a couple of years, or are you looking to, expand outside of Johnson County?
We hope to initially grow our staff a little bit. With just one paid staff person, we are able to meet the needs as they stand, although it's under fairly difficult circumstances. Our next step is hiring a volunteer coordinator part-time. We have a lot of folks now, especially with vaccines rolling out, who want to do warehouse work, which is fabulous, but it requires us to be here again when so much of our work is outreach and picking things up and delivering things. So that's our next concrete step. We do plan to grow to meet the needs of rural Johnson County. We know that there are needs there that aren't being met. We just simply don't have the capacity to reach those smaller towns that are further away right now. We would love to see an organization like ours and outside of Johnson County where it's needed. We have worked with the 2 other organizations who provide furniture in Iowa. to kind of start assessing the rest of the state to see what those needs look like. Cedar Rapids, especially after the derecho, a lot of their affordable housing was completely destroyed. So they're seeing folks from their community finding and being sent to affordable housing in much smaller communities where there aren't resources like this. So our plan really long-term is to try to grow throughout the state at least, but first and foremost, the county.
And we also, we think that furniture and what we're doing is really important for the health of people in the community and for the community overall. And so our goal is to make this organization sustainable without us. So if one of us decided to move on, it wouldn't fall apart. So that's with adding more personnel and sort of putting systems in place that can be continued no matter who is in our roles.
And with that, really strengthening our board and focusing on fundraising too, so that those funds are there to keep our organization moving forward. In the past, that was one thing that a lot of caseworkers said to us, that when something kind of popped up and it was a resource, it was fabulous, but then it would go away and then suddenly that resource is gone and everyone's left scrambling to try to fulfill these needs on their own. So we really want this to be an organization that can move on to the future to keep continuing to address needs in our community.
You mentioned that a group that you really want to be more accessible to is rural Iowa. Are there other groups that you really wish that you could have access to as well, or a group that you're not serving right now?
So locally, we are falling short on serving immigrant families. So that's a goal of ours. We actually just signed a referral agency agreement with Center for Worker Justice, and we will be working with their staff to send us referrals for need. And that was a specific area where we knew we were missing, and partially from culture gap, and then when people are working with agencies that they really trust, they're willing to share their information. And we know that the people that are working with Center for Worker Justice really trust the folks there who are serving them. So we're excited about that. We're also working with Open Heartland to try to further access the immigrant community, because that's where we've mostly fallen short aside from rural Johnson County, I think.
Yep. Agree.
So I know that, or I've seen that a lot of college students tend to be pretty wasteful when it comes to, moving out of their apartments. They just want to get rid of stuff. It's usually sitting out on the curb, perfectly fine stuff. Have you guys been trying to, or what are some of the ways you're trying to reach the younger community, the college community, and let them know that you're available as a resource so that this stuff isn't going to the landfill?
So we have worked with Rummage in the Ramp when it could occur before the pandemic, which was fabulous. That's one of our favorite events to take part in. We've also reached out to different complexes. So the Hawkeye Lodge, they're really great because they provide a matching sofa and chair for each of their residents. And when they move out, those just get dumped unless someone takes them. So last year we were able to pick up a lot of really awesome sets from them. We've connected with the quarters directly, and a lot of individual complexes. Also before the pandemic, we were in connection with the actual on-campus sustainability coordinator, and had planned to work together to take on some household items and things, because a lot of students have microwaves, vacuums, who are living in dorms, not the big pieces of furniture, but we always need microwaves, vacuums, like small plastic sets of drawers are great. And then of course the pandemic hit. So we still have that in our vision. I don't know that that's occurring this year either, because Rummage in the Ramp is going to happen a little bit differently too.
But we did meet with the landfill and recycling coordinators, and because they're rethinking Rummage in the Ramp this year, they're also working with the sustainability office at Iowa. And so we're hoping to be part of whatever they create to help students find new homes for those items.
And we're connected to some of the property management companies and a lot of realtors in town, which is great too. But if any of the other, you guys or any of the other volunteers are students at Iowa and want to spread the word, we'd love that. We had a really great intern who was an Iowa student, and she spread our information really far and wide just through her social network. And that was really helpful for us because we don't have a connection, I think, to a local Iowa students. Well, some, but not a really strong connection. And that was really paramount for us.
And one of our limitations with getting those college student furniture, household items, is that we can't just drive around town grabbing stuff off the curb. So another part of that move out time would be if there are people who have a pickup truck or strong arms and can grab things for us, that would be a wonderful way to help out.
Is there, I just thought of this, is there kind of criteria that you have for what you're able to take as a donation? You know, I don't know, something, you know, sometimes things on the curb are fine. Sometimes they're a little, you know, they have cracks, this and that. So is there something that you definitely won't take?
Well, completely broken things?
Yes.
That's a good question. It sort of depends. You know, for the most part, we want to collect things that we would be able to put in our own homes that are in good shape, but they don't have to be perfect. You know, the things in our homes are not perfect. But we also have found some volunteers who can rewire vacuums and fix things. So we also hope that we can take in more almost usable pieces that just need a little paint or tightening.
Yeah.
So it's we don't have a very definite what we take and won't take.
And what we do ask is that donors who want us to pick items up send us a picture of mattresses and couches and things like that, so we can let them know if it's something that we can take as a donation. Mattresses that are hugely stained or very badly worn or broken springs, things like that, are not something that we have interest in because they're not comfortable or functional and they're dirty. Non-smoking homes is a requirement, but we do a lot of upcycling and repainting and refurbing on pieces, much more than we were able to in the past because we have space and we have talent. So if it's questionable, we love a picture and we can make the decision. But definitely if a donor feels like it's trash, it's trash. That's kind of the...
Yeah. Also, this is not about how usable it is, but also on our website, we have a list of things we don't take. And there are a lot of things that are just not practical for us to store and then not practical to use in a home. So they're just some things that just, if they come here, they just sit here, and that's not what we want. So there's a whole bunch of things, and then the list of what we do take and what's really useful for us.
Awesome. That's very good to know. And I feel like the rule of if you wouldn't put it or have it in your home, well, you probably should not give it to try and give it to someone else. Awesome. So before we get into some of the questions we have here, I'd love to have a chance for you guys to share any stories that you have about your experience working with Houses into Homes, or anything else that you'd love our audience to know about your organization.
Can you? Sorry. I'm sure Selena has a story to tell, so hold on one second.
That's okay. I understand allergy season. It's a pain.
I was distracted by her coffee. Can you just say the question again so I can get it? Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, so before we get into some of the questions, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to share any experiences, any memorable experiences, or stories that you have while you've been with Houses into Homes, and anything else that we didn't cover that you'd love the audience to know.
Mm.
I would just say that all of our work is entirely possible because of the community that we're a part of. Everything that comes here is donated from community members. Our volunteers are all community members. It literally wouldn't be possible without everyone contributing in whatever way that they can. People that we've served who have come from other communities have been absolutely blown away by the generosity and the level of care that they've found in moving here or relocating here, or starting fresh here. When we show up with items that are beautiful and really nice, the expectation is always quite low, and that the household believes that they will be receiving items that belong in the landfill. That's happened over and over and over again. And we constantly hear from the people that we're delivering to that they literally don't know what they would have done without our service. So we're always so grateful to everyone in our community who makes this possible. Our donors are incredible. Our volunteers are incredible. People who financially contribute are wonderful. Our referring agencies are absolutely wonderful. We're often meeting with people in need who are in really vulnerable positions, and their level of trust in us and our community to meet with them in their homes and help take care of their needs is something that we value tremendously. I also would say that we've really been blown away by the generosity. We knew that it was here in our community, but at the level that we've received it is something that's really monumental. Our referring agencies have been great because we've developed really strong relationships with the caseworkers. So when we establish a relationship with someone who isn't connected to a service or an agency where they could have their needs fulfilled, we are able to reach out to that person and send a referral their way and have that person or family's needs met and fulfilled by them. So that's something that I really want to push out to, that every agency on our list of referring agencies, which is on our website, I could read through it, but it's so long. They're doing incredible work in the community, and we're happy that they trust us with the people they're serving as well.
See, I told you the answer would be
Awesome. Thank you. I will go to a question in the chat here. What is the process for referring people to you?
So, like we've said, we have referral agencies. We thought it would be the school district, and it's grown. We have many of the agencies that provide services, that find housing for people, but also social workers at the VA and UIHC have people they're working with who they find out need furniture. So we get a referral from one of the caseworkers or social workers there through a form on our website. If somebody reaches out themselves and says they need help, we refer them to the list. But if they're working with somebody who's not on our list, we'll get in touch with that agency and talk about what we do and see if we're, somebody they want to work with. So once we get the referral, we get in touch with the person. I think I mentioned that before. I don't know. And find out what they need and make arrangements to do the delivery. Then we come back here, and Selena and I and some volunteers choose the furniture and beds, and then pack the linens and dishes and lamps and any of the smaller items, and label them ready for delivery.
And we've tried to make our list of referring agencies so broad that anyone who needs our help can access it. The reason that we don't take self-referrals is because we're not social workers and we don't have established relationships. So we'd like for someone to come through an agency. And as Lucy mentioned, if they're not connected to anyone, we either set up a referring agreement with an agency they are connected to, or oftentimes find that they're working with one of the agencies on our list who can make that referral. Once the referral is made, that's all that's required for qualifying. And another story that I will tell is that we had someone referred to us through Inside Out Reentry, which is an agency that helps folks after they've exited incarceration. And he was told that he would be receiving a bed from our agency. When I called him, he told me about his situation and said he needed a bed. And we talked more, and I found out that he had kids and that his home was entirely empty. He didn't just need a bed. So we went through his list of needs, and he let us know that when his kids were over, that he was trying his best, but they were doing things like putting newspapers down in the living room and having like a picnic, and he was doing things like that to distract him from, or to just distract them from their empty home. On our delivery day, we showed up with a house full of furniture for him, including bunk beds for his kids and a really beautiful living room set. And he was completely blown away. I just entirely surprised, got his mom on the phone. He was in tears. He talked with us a lot about how folks who have exited incarceration usually have to go through all, various steps, and many programs, they don't even qualify for any sort of services at all, in spite of what their conviction was. If it was violent, nonviolent, something very minor. He was in disbelief until the moment that we showed up at his home with all the things that he needed, that we were actually going to be providing them for him. And his kids were so excited and so happy. And then kind of a full circle thing, his mom had moved to our community when he was young, and the furniture project was in existence, and they had used a voucher to get a bed for their first place. So it was really neat to have that experience with him, and to find that we don't qualify it. That was something that we would have people call us about a lot. After their caseworker had made the referral, we had received dozens of calls. Do I qualify for your program? And we've tried to make it really clear in the sort of pre-referral process that if your caseworker has sent you your referral, that you've checked the boxes and that we will be bringing you our service.
Because we want everyone in the community to have a comfortable place to sit, sleep, and eat, and everyone should have that.
I totally agree. Thank you. There's another question here. You touched on the fact that you were surprised by the scope of need initially. Has there been any other surprising aspects of the work that you're doing?
Oh my gosh, so many. The most surprising aspect of the work for me was heading into this work. I was part of a household with a single mother, and we had a lot of folks in our community who helped us. So when I approached this work, I was thinking that all of the reward would be in delivering beds to kids, and that would be it. And it is very rewarding, and we're so pleased that we can do that. However, our engagement with donors and our relationships with donors is something that has really been amazing and shocking to me. Oftentimes when we're meeting donors, they're going through transitional periods in their lives. Sometimes they're exciting, sort of like your kids have grown up and they've gone to college and you're ready to give their bedroom sets away, and you're kind of sad about it, but you're a little okay with it because it's coming back into our community. Other times you've moved your wife to memory care, or recently mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and they brought her home to live, bought a brand new bed for her, a recliner, and this adult woman's mom passed away within 24 hours. So we received a brand new bed. Sometimes it's divorce. There are a lot of really emotional circumstances surrounding the donor experience, and our donors trust us to come in and take their items and pieces that they're really emotionally tied to for various reasons, and to bring them back into our community and to give them to our community. And that makes them feel better about being able to part with these items that are tied to such monumental changes in their lives. We've also developed really great relationships with donors who are repeat donors. Mary Palmberg at Oak Knoll has been incredible to us. She has single-handed, and she was doing this long before possibly I was even alive. We found out this year that we're a few years apart in one day. I'm January 9th, she's January 10th. But the donations that she has sent our way have filled hundreds of households. And to be able to work so well with she and the community at Oak Knoll, who do so much for us, when somebody either leaves their unit or perhaps someone goes to memory care or something like that, their staff brings everything outside for us. And that is huge. I've done a couple of pickups at congregate spaces or shared living spaces where that doesn't occur for us. And the physical labor between those two situations is remarkable. So we are so grateful for her and Oak Knoll, and we have some others who do the same. So our donor relationships are really moving for me, and something that I was really surprised by.
I was just going to add little examples. As Selena was talking, I was thinking about the couple who brought a really beautiful rocking chair, and she had rocked all of her children in that, and now they are grown and have kids, but she was willing to give it to us because it's going to go into another home here. And then I was also thinking it makes it easier for children to part with those toys that we, as parents, we know they're not playing with it, but it's so hard to give it up. But knowing that another child in their community is going to enjoy it, play, whatever, it makes it a lot easier for them to give up some of those precious things.
We've also shown up to pickups where mom and dad are like carrying the toddlers and they're wailing because their dining table and chairs are being donated and they're getting a new one, and they're so connected to this piece. And they go through saying goodbye, but the emotions even that children have tied to the pieces that fill their home, that they again have these emotional experiences with, are completely tie into when we take them to a new home, that families and individuals get to have those same experiences and have those talks around the dining table that make giving it away something that makes you cry and that's hard for you. So we've had quite a handful of those where there's some big tears when they're moving to a new table and we're taking their beloved table away.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, there's definitely things that I'm emotionally attached to, and yeah, I can imagine myself having that same reaction. But I think it's an interesting point that you made, that some of your donors are going through a tough time themselves. Like you said, divorce, and you're getting rid of stuff that you just don't want to, see and associate with that bad experience. But the fact that you can see that, you don't need to throw it away. You don't need to, it doesn't need to be like that there's a way to repurpose and give someone else the opportunity to make memories with it, and use it for years and years to come, I think is just amazing. And I hope that when, we all come to those situations, hopefully no bad situations, that we remember that there's a lot of people in need. And even though we may not want that stuff and may have some negative feelings associated with it, doesn't mean that it can't be positive for someone else. So I think that's amazing. Okay, looks like that's all the questions, and we're nearing the end here. If any other questions pop in, I'll try and get to those. But I wanted to thank you guys so much for giving us this information and informing our audience about what you do, the positive impacts that you're having on the community, and how people can get involved. And I think for our audience, if you're looking to be a donor, a volunteer, or anything else, I know that the website has a lot of good information, has your guys' contact on it. So definitely suggest doing that. And please, please, please donate your stuff if you're getting rid of anything. I said at the beginning, 40% of recyclable or reusable items are in the landfill, and that was in 2017. So I hope when they do that assessment again next year or in a couple of years, we'll, as a community, as a state as well, we'll have that number down. And I think you guys are doing such a fantastic job of making that a priority here in our community. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to our audience and for the questions. We have an upcoming AMA in May as well with a Iowa professor. So I hope we'll see you guys there as well. And thank you, Lucy and Selena.
Thanks,
Thanks, Lydia. Happy Earth Day.
Happy birthday.